Greetings, programs. This is Wretch. Welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. And in the last episode, guys, we arrived here at Flotsam Station, which is essentially just this huge conglomeration of ships all cobbled together, and we were trying to find someone who could help diagnose Sleeper's issues, and that led us here to Jean-Mi, who can help, but he needs a prime ship mine before we can really get to the root of the matter. So that is pretty much all of our business here in the area, except for a job that we took. Stranded rig, a distress call from a lonely rock. My rig's blown its propulsion and I'm stranded on some godforsaken rock. Repair crew needed. We'll split haul. No time wasters or thieves. I'm armed. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it. And of course, we'll take the entire crew with us. While, Seraph is still healing from his wounds. Keep your hands where I can see them. The voice crackles over the open channel of your suit comms as you near the stranded rig. You slow your approach a little as you move toward the ship, its shape lumpy and skeletal in the distant light of the sun. A warm welcome. Bodes well for the rest of the job. Bliss shoots you a concerned look. You look at the stranded ship ahead. Clearly, they're feeling a bit exposed. We're here to help. Well, I figured that. Otherwise, I would have put a hole in that shiny rig of yours already. You arrive at the side of the rig, inspecting the damage as you do. Half the hull plating and big chunks of the internal structure seem to be missing, but you have a feeling that this is not what you're here to fix. The airlock opens, and you move inside, the interior all exposed wires and metal framework. The systems wheeze and shudder as it cycles. Nothing of value here, so if you're looking to steal something, you're welcome to it. Alma greets you plainly inside the rig. You do the work that's needed and I'll let you take your half of the haul. Understood. Well, all right then. Her face is as placid and unchanging as a rock. Here's the short of it. Engine's cocked out on me, and I'm no engineer. Can usually get her going, but this time no dice. Ooh, we got plenty of dice, and none of them good. She looks between you and the rest of the crew. Surprised there's so many of you, to be honest. Bliss smiles sympathetically. Sorry about that, but don't worry. I've worked on these engines before. They give Alma a wink. I can handle this. Don't be so sure. Alma leads you toward the engine room. The layout of her rig, much the same as yours. This girl is the sensitive type. You need to know how to handle her. The central corridor of the ship snakes in a way that isn't familiar to you, and you realize this rig is far more heavily modified than your own. Something that becomes all the more obvious when you arrive in the engine room. Rather than the rig's stock engine, a singular block and double turbine with feed lines between, Alma's engine is a mess of piping and feed lines, linking up multiple raw components, welded to the interior frame of the room. Your eyes widen at the sight. Been adding to her since I was young. Alma smiles at the chaos. Might look like a mess, but she purrs when she's running. Bliss is shaking their head slowly. Oh, Sleeper. They let out a puff of air. This is going to be special. You struggle to tell if they're intimidated or impressed. Perhaps it's a little of both. That's about all of it. Alma gestures to the exploded engine. Get her running and you'll get half of the haul. We'll do what we can. Hope you aren't time wasters. Alma squints at you. You certainly are a strange crew. Alma glides over to a window set in the side of the engine room and points to the corroded remains of a facility deep in the asteroid's loose, dusty surface. That there's the hull. She taps on the glass. As good a find as I've seen. The hull is a building? Building and all that's in it. Alma screws up her face. What? You too good for scrapping? By rights, that building's mine. Scrapper's claim. Alma scratches at her mess of hair. But you helped me get her running and you're welcome to take what you want from it. Up to a maximum of 50% of raw mass, that is. That's not what we expected. She looks you up and down, and you feel the first acknowledgement of you being a sleeper. I doubt it'll trouble one of you. Anyway, you're leaving with nothing unless my girl here is back in shape by the time y'all are done. She folds her arms across her chest. So get to it. You turn back to the engine, your eyes tracing the madness of the interlocking systems. You're starting to have the horrible feeling that this contract is some kind of elaborate joke. Okay, Alma's rig, what do we got? Engine labor. With a system this complex, you can either understand it or approach it systematically, checking it piece by maddening piece. Engine study. Alma's engine fills the room like some esoteric sculpture. To try to fix it, it must be studied and understood. Oh man, look at Bliss, coming in clutch. And then the ruined facility. Gather scrap. Beyond the corroded outer walls, this place is just scrap. This is scrapper's work, and it takes resilience more than skill. In the corroded, ragged remains of this facility, there might still be valuables tucked away. The trick is to find them. Okay, so hidden treasures and raw material, huh? Well, it doesn't look like we're under any kind of time. So it may be best for us to go ahead and get this done. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and see what happens. We'll push through. It's tedious work, but the metal gives way, and the scrap is piled up. I don't really want to risk anything big. I'm wondering if that's when the other shoe's going to fall. Or the shoe's going to drop, rather. And let's go ahead and do this. There's a hidden depth to this place, and inside that dark interior, bright things flicker. Ooh. Okay, half of that. Eugen didn't really do us any favors, and then I guess I will go ahead and use my abilities here with the engine study. At least 2 of them. Alma's engine fills the room like... Okay, esoteric sculpture. Slowly, the elaborate form of the engine comes into focus, and small repairs can be made. Alma's girl, huh? Well, there's a lot going on here, and we got a ton of supplies, fortunately. So... I think right now we can go ahead and be safe. So let's go ahead and crash out here. And see if we get better dice with what's to come. Okay. That's doable, for sure. Intuition. We'll have Bliss keep on doing component searches. Alright, one more to go. Can we pull this off? Whoops. As the interior of the facility opens up, signs of a cleaner, better preserved rooms. Oh yeah, I forgot. I've got that ability, don't I? Well, let's do this. Ack. The scrap slices suits. The tunnels lead nowhere, and this place is a ruin. Well, that's not ideal. We'll keep the engineering going. Okay, it's halfway done with Alma's rig. Let's go ahead and have Eugen try his luck. Ooh. Stressful day. It would be nice if this was just a basic job where we don't have to worry about anything timeline-wise. Just gotta be pretty smart about it. Alright. I like it. I kind of want to go ahead and have one of these dice broke so we can actually get that drive taken care of. Let's go for this, Eugen. We can go faster, stellar, once you get a rhythm going. Cool. We should have that one done here fairly soon. And let's get this one going, Bliss. You find your way to a sealed bay, the door in good condition. Perhaps the treasures are beyond it. There's a hiss and a rush of stale air as the sealed bay, deep in the facility's tunnels, opens for the first time in years. The beams of your suit lamps reach into the dark, picking out waves of dust and debris. They reveal a small bay, big enough for a shuttle, but not a rig like yours. As you glide inside, those same beams catch on the frame of something that sits at the center of the bay. It's wide and flat, with a cylindrical central action that runs its length. As you move around it, looking at the sections and plates and open frame, you realize it's a ship. Or at least it was. This frame, filled with rusted components and partially covered with old hull plates, suggests a fast ship, an arrowhead designed to cut through debris and even atmosphere. You float up a little to see its central cylinder, and your lamps reveal a cockpit outfitted for 2 people, one sat behind the other. The seats are carefully upholstered, and you realize this was a labor of love. The whole ship, in fact, seems built by hand, a custom model with little function out here beyond looping around asteroids for the thrill of it. It's a hot rod. Looking closer, brushing away the surface corrosion, you see flames painted on the hull plates in curling patterns, the brushstrokes visible even after what must be many years. As you inspect the half-finished ship, a sense of quiet wonder keeps you silent. You notice a glint toward its rear. You approach it and see an engine, all interlocking tubes and flared vents. It's unlike any you have seen, but the holes in its side suggest that it may never have been finished. These holes are the source of the glint. You reach in and pull out some strange-looking engine components, each pristine and complex. You hesitate for a moment, suddenly feeling like you shouldn't be disturbing such an intimate object. But it occurs to you that nothing would please the person who built this ship more than seeing these handmade components put to use. You secure them to your suit and push away from the ship. As you leave the bay, you turn and take one last look at the treasure inside. It's possible that it never flew, or perhaps it was in the middle of an extensive refit when this place was abandoned. Either way, its flying years have long since passed, and now with the bay open, it'll corrode much faster, melding with the animized scrap of this place in mere cycles. You suppress a shiver, and then start the journey back up to the surface, aware of the components dangling at your side. Alright, more engine components. That's kind of cool that there's like a hot rod there, ready to go. Nothing that Bliss or I can really do there for the endurance. So, let's go ahead and keep on working on Alma's rig. Well, I don't know, maybe. Do we want to go ahead and risk it? It's still 25 positive, 50 negative. Let's see if let's see if Bliss is up for it. Whoops. I guess not. Fortunately, we still have quite a bit more to go. Yeah, I still want to try and risk it. There we go. The scrap is piled and ready. All that remains is to load it into the rig. A nice pile you got there, Alma announces herself on the open channel. We'll make scrappers of you kids yet. That scrap will earn you a pretty penny if you know what you're doing. she continues. Holmes Rock's always a good place to offload. I'll give you that for free. You look at the stack of ragged, torch-cut plates as they're loaded up into the rig's cargo hold, and you have to admit you do feel a little pride at the work done. Thanks. You earned it. You glance over your shoulder at the cockpit of Alma's rig, where you can see her watching. What is this place? There's a click on the open channel as it closes, and Alma seems to take a moment to consider her response. She clears her throat. How about you tell me what you think, Sleeper? A hangar. I found a ship. Alma coughs and sputters, and then goes silent. Got a good nose for salvage, have we? Well, it's not just a hangar, though. A home. Alma goes quiet for a moment, but you wait, getting the feeling there's still more to be said. See the old arrays on the far side? You turn and look up the rock toward the broken frames and panels you can just make out in the dust, catching the sun's weak light. Those were the first priority. Get power running. Recharge the cells for the excavators, the welders. Turn the scrap into something livable. She falters and coughs. Look at them now. You see the tumble-down collection of panels. They look like they were scattered by a careless hand, discarded without much thought. The comms channel clicks off, and you see the distant silhouette of Alma drift from view, out of the cockpit of her rig. You turn back to see that the scrap has been loaded into the ship, your half of the haul, though you suspect this place is more than just a haul to Alma. Yeah, probably her own home at one point. Now she's just having to gather up the pieces. Okay, well, let's go ahead and focus on some more engineering. And I think we can go ahead and use the 2 dice here. There we go, getting there. I think one more day. And we are out of dice other than that one that we don't want to risk. We'll give Alma some time to process what she's going through here. And that'll be more than enough. The engine looks right. You can't be sure, but perhaps the job is done. You all gather in Alma's rig to see the engine tested. The engine room purrs and chitters. It seems to warm with the sound of the engine, with the polyrhythmic vibrations that rattle through the open framework of the interior. You look over to Alma and you can see her eyes are closed, a small tremble at the corner of her mouth. You look at the engine, Alma's engine, an object that you've come to respect over the past cycles, even if you haven't necessarily grown to love it. It is, as you can see now, a difficult thing to love. Whole parts of it make little sense, and its oldest systems, those now bypassed and made obsolete by newer additions, still somehow play an integral part you don't understand. It is unwieldy, and unnecessarily so, and the accumulation of parts and patches from its long service makes it surprisingly fragile. Meanwhile, other sections have been welded and re-welded so many times that they're impregnable, and will never be able to replace. It's uncooperative, and prone to sudden outbursts of cooling fluid or even fuel. It's restless and will begin to leak when left idle for too long. It's always too cold or too hot, thanks to the coolant and the fuel, and it's hard to predict which it will be at any given moment. And yet, despite all this, it's an object you feel close to, that you feel a kinship with, because in the end, you too are an accumulation of broken parts, long outliving their operational limits. You too are a machine that's become a story, and a story that has grown beyond the ability of others to understand it. You look over to Alma again, and Bliss is there beside her. You can see they're talking, but with the engine running, you cannot hear them. You watch for a moment, Bliss now patiently listening as, in faltering words, Alma explains something to them. Bliss nods, and then suddenly they embrace, gently and with care. Bliss pushes back, and as soon as the moment has passed, it seems like it might not have happened at all. Nothing in the two figures' attitudes betrays the act, and the room seems unchanged. You try to remember if you can see them speaking before now, but you recall there were many moments when you were not with Bliss. As you watch Alma approach, you realize the engine is not just special to you, and that between her and Bliss, it might have been the bridge to a unique kind of respect. That's the job, Sleeper. Alma approaches you from the other side of the room. And you know where the payment's to be found. I believe that brings our business to an end. Alma scratches at her hair. Unless you have something to add. What will you do now? I believe that's my business. She bristles at the question. I'll need to find somewhere quiet to resupply and so on, but I don't think you'd like my usual haunts. She gives you a sly look. I appreciate the assistance. You're welcome to take what you want from the hangar if you haven't already. You see a knowing shimmer in her eyes. Now, I must kindly ask you to leave my ship. As the airlock cycles, you look across at Bliss and swear you see a tear in their eye. Are you okay? Bliss turns to you as if they forgot you were there. I'm good, Sleeper. Really good. This place reminded me why I do what I do. Why I fix things. They look ahead. There's beauty in it. You find yourself drifting away from Alma's rig in a haze of thoughts. It's clear to you at this point that Alma's history is written all over this place. But more than that, well, you can't be sure. This story, it seems, isn't for you. You realize as you gaze at the broken remains of the facility that Alma never took any of her half of the haul. You turn back and squint at the cockpit of her rig. You see her there, looking out across this wasteland, still as a statue. It's an image that, as you load into the rig and begin the preparations to depart, will stick with you. One that, every time you enter the engine room of your ship, a room almost identical to the engine room of Alma's rig, will leap into your mind. A woman, floating above the wreck of what was once her home, looking for a reason to keep going. Ooh, that is beautiful and very sad, too. She's probably just trying to find anything she can do to just kind of soldier on, just like her engine. Okay, well, that is that. So let's go ahead and get back to Flotsam and then kind of decide where we're going to go from there. Now, that gave us quite a few. Okay, we got engine components, rare components, raw scrap, Solheim data. I also went over here before I started recording to the Ferris tanker and bought a scrap component just to see if it was what it was. So let's go ahead and gas up the tank and work. Okay, fill our supplies up. And everything else, I think we are in good shape. The rest of it is just kind of money-based, unless there's another contract here. Nope. Just to buy a meal. We're checking, because you never know. Skill required, repeatable action, buy engine components. We got tons of engine. We can't sell anything yet, though. But I think that may be it here for Flotsam. Now we need to decide where we're going to go from here. We've got Helion Gate. We've got Holmes Rock, and that's going to take us up eventually to Wellspring. And then Darkside, Greenbelt. Let's look at our... locate a ship at Helion Gate to diagnose your frame. Oh, that's a ship at Helion Gate, okay. Seraphin's sister is in Wellspring, which is up here. Get the spores from Greenbelt down. Man, we got so much to do. Investigate Hexport, which is... Let's keep on looking down just to see. No active contracts. Let's use that. Okay. Cracking it open might reveal the fate of the station. Oh, in the scatter yards. Yes, where are the scatter yards? I believe right here, right? Yeah, I can't see it, but I'm sure it's there. And make repairs, which we will eventually have to do. So I say we go ahead and travel to Helion Gate. And that'll be basically the access point to everything else, because hopefully we can fly from Helion Gate to Holmes Rock. Otherwise, we have to go all the way back here to Flotsam. And it's going to take a lot of fuel, but let's do it. Well, you know what? Let's do this instead. We're going to go ahead and ride the clock and see what we can do about getting some money. And that requires, let's see, where is it? Well, we got our intuition, which is nice. How much money does that get us? Some raw scrap and some cryo? Yes, indeedy. I am okay with that. That's more just pure raw scrap. And I'm trying to remember, was there a place where we could actually do engineering work, or was I just imagining that? Actually, I don't think there is a place where we can do engineering work. Okay. Head back to the rig here. We'll sleep. And we'll head out once we get 3 on the lanometer. Oh, look at all that. Cool, cool. Now, is this going to get us some food and credits? The hydroponic farm? Let's see. Oh, we are not built for that. Never mind. We'll just go to the restaurant then. Also, did we get... I don't think we got more XP for that. We just got money. These were good dice. Hopefully we don't need them later. And I think the only thing that we'll lose is food. Cool. One more to go. Hopefully there's no other, like, sudden clock that'll pop up and really give us an issue, because that will be most upsetting. Offices... Okay, yep, just keep on keeping on. A cryo, still. And that'll give us some negatives that we'll just lose our stam. We can grab food. That's okay, no worries. Okay. Now get ourselves a good meal. And look at that, we are significantly richer. And got a ton of components in the cargo, and we're about to leave before Lane starts to catch up with us too much. So this is a perfect place to go ahead and call it an episode, guys. When we get back, we'll head over to Helion Station and see what happens over here. But I hope you all have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.